Okay, so today is October 28th of 2024, and we're going to go over Friday's price action as well as the outlook for today. So Friday was actually pretty interesting. Um, Friday I had expected price to draw higher, but I did not expect price to actually sweep all of these highs, which was 4 days of liquidity, um, and as well as a previous week previous week high. Here we only swept 2 days of previous day highs, so 2 days of worth of liquidity. Um, but again, I had expected price. I didn't expect price to do that. Once price started drawing higher or closing higher, what I did want to see is I wanted to see maybe some consolidation, a retracement back into some sort of equilibrium, and then continue to draw higher. And so I began to look, not necessarily look, but I basically just waited. Um, and I was using, where was it? I think it was this high here. I was using this as a previous swing high. Same thing here. I was using this as a previous swing high. So again, what I wanted to see is I wanted to see price sweep these lows, maybe ES draw into optimal trade entry, and then we get a draw higher. Same thing here. Draw into 50% of the range, and then draw higher. But obviously we did not get that. Instead, we continued drawing lower, and we swept Asia low, London low, as well as this sell side liquidity that I had labeled the previous day. So we swept this sell side. And so once I came around for the 1300 macro, I didn't see an entry. There was one here, but it just did not occur to me to actually look for shorts. Actually, it did occur to me, but I wasn't at this point. I wasn't as bullish as I had wanted to be. But there was actually a pretty good setup. But the reason why I didn't take it was because I wasn't willing to get short. Because again, I was bullish, so I was looking for some sort of bullish setup. And so again, here we have. I actually wanted to see this low get swept right here into this low here, draw higher. Actually, never mind. What I wanted to see is I wanted to see this after price swept this high here. I wanted the price to come down here, and then maybe we get that reversal. Same thing here after price swept this high here and this high here, come back here, reverse. But obviously that didn't happen. Instead, we had a sweep first, then a sweep high, then we got the entry right here on the 1 minute, which is right here. Displacement lower, gap, entry right here into the 1300 macro. Right, into the 1300 macro. But obviously I didn't get that. So I shut off my data, and I just kept coming back for every macro after that. During the 1400 macro, I did not like this either. So I shut that off again. 1500 macro, I came back, and I noticed that we were already in the new day opening gap. Here we were at the new week opening gap, and what I wanted to see at the new week opening gap is I wanted to see price gravitate towards that and maybe close in that area somewhere. And so I began looking for some sort of indication after price started drawing higher, reverse here. After price started drawing higher, reverse here. And what do you know? I actually found SMT. And between this high and this low down here, price traded into 50% of the range. Same thing here between this high and this low here. Price did not trade into 50% of the range. And so whichever one fails to get up to 50% of the range, I feel safer shorting that one or getting long if we're looking for longs. And so again, SMT at these highs, we get a displacement lower. And I actually, where did I enter? Let's take a look. Actually, I'll show later because I won't be able to show my cells until after I connect the data. But again, so I got short here, covered one into this area here, and covered the rest as soon as price broke below this low here. This one was my last objective, but obviously we didn't get that, so I just went ahead and covered the rest. So pretty good Friday to end the week. Um, so what am I looking for this week? Well, this week I am remaining neutral. The reason I'm remaining neutral is because we are still in consolidation. We're in a consolidation range where somewhere we've been for the past 2 weeks. And the reason why we're in consolidation is because I believe we're waiting until after the elections. Once the election comes, I think we'll get that breakout. But in the meantime, I think we will consolidate in this range here. As we have been with NQ, we've been doing it for the past 3 weeks. ES, we've been doing it for the past 2 weeks, actually 3 weeks, because this area here is not necessarily um, breakout. It's more of a consolidation, draw higher, consolidation, draw lower, consolidation, draw higher, and then we closed here. So I'm not necessarily looking for any directional move. I'm looking for maybe some sort of consolidation going into next week's elections, and then we get the directional move going after that. But with that in mind, I I am still bullish because the overall order flow on the weekly is bullish. We have a doji here on NQ, so I'm not going to listen to that candle. Instead, I'm going to listen to what this candle tells me what to do. Um, so last week we traded into this weekly order block here on NQ. We held that order block, and we also held that daily order block here on NQ. On ES, we were trading from imbalance to maybe buy side liquidity. So for me, the overall objective are these highs if price tells me it's going that way. Same thing for ES. We are trading from liquidity to liquidity maybe. So I will be targeting these highs if order flow tells me it's bullish on the lower time frame. Let's go to the daily. On the daily, we closed above consequent encroachment here on the gap. Order flow remains bullish, so I do want to see what price did here at sell side after if it sweeps this low, or we might just continue to generate liquidity like we did here with these lows and these highs here. Same thing here. We might do the same thing going into next week. Sell side liquidity, buy side liquidity, sell side liquidity, buy side liquidity. I and previous day low. Actually, let's add that here. Let's go to the 4-hour. Again, on the 4-hour, we did not drop past this high here. We did have a change in the state of delivery because this candle closed above this body of this candle here, but it did trade and close below consequent encroachment of this range here. So I don't know if this holds. So depending on what happened overnight, I'm not going to necessarily listen to this area here. Here, we did close again. Also, we had change in the state of delivery on the 4-hour, and we also have a unicorn here, right? So what I want to see have happened overnight is maybe we drew higher. The only thing though is it already took out this previous high here. So I'm not as convinced with this, but the fact that we had a liquidity a stop run before we drew this unicorn here leads me to believe that maybe we have some sort of support here, and then maybe we draw higher. I do believe we, but anyways, let's go over the next here. We don't have any gaps here, so I'm not overly bearish just yet. On the hourly, we have a change in the state of delivery on ES. We have a gap here, so that's a pretty good, technically speaking, it's a good short setup. But again, I'm not overly sold on short just yet. Again, I am entering this week. What's the word? I am entering this week neutral, with the mindset that we might just do the same thing we did last week, which is consolidate, and then going into the next week we have that directional move. What I do like here, though, is the fact that we have a double purge. First, buy side, sell side was taken, then buy side. Here, sell side was taken, and buy side hasn't been taken yet. So we might need to maybe sweep one more high here before we continue drawing lower. So again, going into today, I want to see how price traded up here. I do believe overnight we did gap, so we do have a new week opening gap that I'll have to reassess here. Actually, let's get this ready. I don't want to use last week's because this week's is actually very, very wide. I do believe we gapped up maybe up to here. So I do want to see what happened over here. Same thing on ES. I do want to see what happened over here. I'm not going to be using this new day opening gap. I will be using the new week opening gap here going into the future. So let's go ahead and connect. Actually, we do have new non-farm week, so I do expect price to be very fluid, just like it was last week. But you got to be very careful as to where your stops are at. So let's go ahead and connect the data here and see where we're at. Okay. All right. So okay. So yeah, this is the gap up I was talking about. Actually, let's do this. 25, 75. So about a 50-point gap. That's just quite um, large. Shit. I need to have one of these for. There we go. Save. Let's save this as quadrants in case. Oh, jeez. Which one was it? Oh, 0%. Okay, so I do want to see how price trades over here. We just had that sweep. We just swept buy side here. I do believe we did. We just did we? Okay. Here we have yet to do it. So we do have SMT at the highs. So to me, the drawn liquidity are these lows. The drawn liquidity are these lows as long as this high does not get broken. Yeah, as long as this high doesn't get broken. If this high gets broken, that's fine. what I want to see is I want to see one of the pairs get swept. We have an inverse here. I'm not going to use this though. Yeah, okay. So as long as as long as this high does not get swept, and this high does not get swept, and that's what I would like to see. We do have a sell side. Sell side was swept during the New York Open. It happened at 8. So that's one of the prerequisites of the of a setup for me. And it does appear that NQ is a little more what's the word? It does look like NQ is a little more is a little weaker than ES. And again, again, I am watching this unicorn here. So again, I am looking for a draw lower. This is the draw in liquidity for me. Let's take a look at the 15-minute. Consolidation, manipulation maybe, expansion lower. Consolidation, manipulation, lower. It is rejecting this breaker here. I don't really like that breaker though. So I think we are setting up a pretty good draw lower today. But again, all I want to see is maybe ES. I want to see ES sweep this high going into the 10 o'clock macro. NQ maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure which one does, which one doesn't yet. But again, we did take buy side here. Actually, let me just double check and make sure. The high of this was 76.25. This high is 76.50. Yep. So we did sweep buy side. So now I want to see NQ draw lower. So we'll see. I think I want to turtle soup this entry here. My stop would be 9 points. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one in, one. That way I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to take one micro off of this high here, and then with a stop up here, because again, I don't want to see this high get swept. Okay, so I got a sell order there. Darn, it looks like we're drawing lower. Yeah, I really don't like this. If they both displace lower, then I'll probably look to get short down here after it draws and closes below this breaker here. Or it doesn't even need to sweep this high here. It could come back, sweep this high here, and then we draw lower. But it all depends on how price trades going into the 10 o'clock macro. And this is the short I took off of this breaker here on Friday, covered here, here, and then ultimately here. Execution is actually pretty nice, right? Oh, okay, it was the sweep of this low here. Actually took two off here, covered one a little bit up top here, and the last one here. Okay, and Q just swept that low. 15-minute here. This is a unicorn on the 15-minute. Still nothing. I think if anything, NQ does retrace back into 50% of this range. As long as price does not draw into the new week opening gap just yet, then I'll look to maybe get in on a retracement. Same thing with ES. As long as ES does not draw into it. I do like ES better because it does have the SMT at the lows. And the closer it gets up to these highs here, the better for me in my opinion. We do have SMT at the lows as well. That's a 12-point stop. No, I'm going to leave my sell here at 84.50. I mean, the only thing, like I said, I have this unicorn here, but I want to see price trade into this new week opening gap first before I think about getting long. And if anything, I do want to see how price trades if it draws into 50% of this range. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. Well, we have sell side swept. Now I want to see buy side get swept. And I'll also watch this here. Could watch this as well. This reminds me of Friday's trade. really liking this setup here. But time is just not there yet. So for now, I'm just sitting on the sidelines. We do have this breaker here. Actually, it's this one right here. And the reason why I like this breaker is because we had a stop run in between this high and these highs here. So price ran these stops, and I probably should have jumped in there. Oh man. Yeah. 24-point stop. Risk 24 to make 100. I'll take it. I mean, I'm not going to take it now, but I would take it if during the macro it it syncs with that. But I'd be more convinced if price swept this high here, or if price just started closing below this area here. I do, like I said, I do have some sell orders here, but I don't think price is looking to do that just yet. Hmm. All right, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect from data because right now I'm getting that itch. All right, so I'm disconnected. But I do like this setup. We saw buy side here, so buy side here and here. So that's SMT between this high and this high. So now I want to see price draw into this new week opening gap here. Okay, so again, I don't have a obviously I can't see data right now because I purposely disconnected from that. So I gotta wait a couple more minutes before I finally um, connect again. There's one main reason why I disconnect from data, and that reason is mainly because it keeps me from uh, it keeps me from uh, what's the word? Being impulsive. I think everybody has that quality. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad quality. I'm just saying that it's a bad quality in trading, especially when you have to wait until the macro sets in. And if your setup is there, then you take it. If your setup is not there, then don't. Just leave it alone. Come back later because you can always get a second chance at it. All right, so I'm just gonna wait like maybe 2 more minutes and then I'll get the data and see where we're at. Okay, let's go ahead and connect and see where we're at. Again, it is non-farm, so I do expect price to be very fluid. So that's why I'm taking a shot today. Well, today I'm expecting price to be fluid. Okay, all right, I like this. Um, look at the 1 minute here. We just swept sell side. Buy side here. This could have been an entry good for that. So either one of the two that doesn't, I'll take. Because I do believe here on NQ we are maybe creating a balanced price range. All of these wicks here. Yes, I would still love a sweep of this high or maybe into this this one more time. Actually, this right here. So I'll wait 2 more minutes to jump in. I just hope that NQ doesn't do it just as I had not wanted it to do. Let's see here. Maybe a 3.75 point stop. If I decide to get in on an order block here, so I'll just wait. Darn. Yeah, that's where I want to get in, and I do hope I get that draw in there. If not, then I'll take this one here. Got a couple more seconds. I sure do hope price comes back up to this area here. Yeah, I don't think NQ is going to get that. If I don't get this entry up here, then I'll wait on ES, and what I want to see on ES do is close below this area here. But if it draws into this new week opening gap, then that play is going to be pretty much over. Yep, there it goes. Darn. Or I could use this right here. All right, I want to see how this closes down here. Well, actually this right here. Probably have to wait about 4 more minutes. As long as it closes below these areas down here, that's where I want to get in. And my stop will be 4.25 points. 4.25 points, and first target will be the new wick opening gap high, the 50% of the range, which is about 16 points, and then finally 24 points if the low gets hit on the new week opening gap. Because I do think eventually we do run these lows down here, but obviously I'm not sure if we do today. I want to see price maybe consolidate, and then we get a an afternoon short again here to tackle these lows down here. We didn't get this entry here, that's fine. About 2.5 minutes. If I don't get anything, then I will wait for later on, because again, this right here is a balanced price range, similar to a couple of days ago when we had that right here. Balanced price range did not sweep this high. Swept a little buy side, drew lower, or where was the other one? Yep, right here. Yeah, if it closes down here, I'll just get in with a stop above this order block here. And the anticipation is that it'll draw lower, closing below this breaker here. One of the rules ICT has is that if you are going to use a mitigation block to short, then the mitigation block has to have a stop run in between, which is this high right here. You can kind of see it on the 15-minute, but the 5-minute is better for me. Well, it looks better for me on this All right, so I'm gonna get ready with 2 contracts. All right, so I'm in. It did not hit the new week opening gap yet, and I'm only in with 1 contract. Just kind of feel the waters. Stop is up here. Probably should have added 1 more just cause. Notice here how it opened right at the median threshold of this wick here. I want to see how price closes once the 10 o'clock macro comes. Ideally, I want to see price trade below this area and close down here somewhere. All right, so I added another one. I'm going to add 1 more if it draws into this area here. Because again, I want to see how this candle closes. We have about 3 minutes until the 10 o'clock macro. The only thing I don't like is though, we ran sell side here. So we might need to run buy side first up here. So I'm keeping an eye on that. But if we are really weak, then price is not likely to sweep this high. But again, that's if we're weak. Um, so I'm just watching to see how this candle closes on the 5 minute. I want it to close down here, but if we run these highs, that's fine. Oh wow, 50% is right there too. So I think we might run those highs. Darn. Let's see. That'd be a 4.5 stop. This reminds me of a couple of days ago where I actually took my stop where I actually should have entered. So I think I should maybe keep my stop up here in case we do run this high here. But again, that all has to do with how price is. And right now it's showing me that it's weak. And as long as we close down here or below the median threshold right here, and that could work. We are going to close below this wick though. All right. We do have a tiny gap here, a little bit of BPR. Uh, 69.75. So I'm in with micros. Yeah, I'm gonna add two more up here in case we get that run of these highs. Because my strategy is always to wait for the double purge. Once I see the double purge, that's when I am more confident on a trade. And there hasn't been a double purge just yet. There was one here, but it was more to the downside. So we'll see how this one decides. So either or, whichever one gets the double purge, I'll be and once that double purge comes in, that's when I'll be more confident on the trade. Looks like we may get it here on NQ. Let me just set my stops now, though. That way I don't backtrack on them. Okay. First target will be again, new week opening gap low. New week opening gap high. Then the midpoint, and so on. just kind of drew a little void here. Is it a void? Yep, it is. Got about 7 minutes left for the macro. One more minute until the 5-minute closes. I do want to see the 5-minute close below here, below median threshold of this breaker here. There we go. Even better if it closes down here, because then I can add another one maybe, and then lower my stop into my the original stop I had wanted. But if there's no displacement, then no reason to change my stops. All right, well, we still close below that wick right here. Now this right here. Order block, 50% of the wick. We still close below it. We did trade into this gap here. Little void here. I do want to see this 15-minute close down here. And then here we have these two gaps up here. So it would be nice for this one to sweep this high here, because at this point right now we have breakaway gap up here, and maybe this is also a breakaway gap. And if we get that on the 15-minute, that's even better, because if price does not trade up to that area, then that's even better, because then that means I'd feel a lot more confident holding on to these contracts as long as possible, or until my objectives are hit. Sell side keeps getting ran without running buy side. That's a good sign, but we'll see. soon as it runs this high here, I want to see how it reacts, because then you have like a tiny setup here. All right, well, we just ran that high. And this is that cap. %50 right here. Good sign that we're leaving a void here. All right, so I'm going to turtle soup this again. I mean, one more contract, and then I'll leave my stop up to here. And that'll be it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. I'm watching this candle here. Just turned into an inverse. So could this be it? I want to see this turn into an inverse also. I don't want to see it draw wicks. And the macro's over already, so I don't like staying in a trade after the macro unless it's already worked out for me. Let's see how that draws. Well, it respected this. to see how this reacts. As soon as this high gets broken. Does not want to get above 50% of the range. Which one was it? Was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. Relative equal highs at the highs. All right, I want to see the sweep, and then I'll turtle soup that with a stop again, with my stop still remaining at 78. The 15 minute just closed. Up close candle. This could turn out to be a bearish order block right here. Which could be this. The only thing I'm looking for in order to stay on this trade is just displacement, and I'm not seeing that. I wanted to see it here, and it started to, but then it just closed up. All right, well, we're getting that draw lower. Still didn't close below. Kind of getting that feeling though, when it's really calm, people start getting in, and then as soon as people get in, that's when the rug is pulled. We have some generated liquidity here. Still want to see price close below this area though. I don't like this sideways move. Wait, is there any crude oil today? No, that's tomorrow. That's not until Thursday, I believe. No, Wednesday. Wednesday at 10:30. It's turning out to be a snooze fest. Okay, so I like that NQ swept. ES did not, but that doesn't really tell me much, so I'll just keep watching. I do have a limit order up here with a stop at 78, but just keeps on flirting with that price. Okay, finally. All right, so now, yeah, now I'm just waiting. I'm trying to avoid the same mistake I did last week, where I took, well, that was actually a pretty good trade. This trade where I actually got in up here, and the mistake was lowering my stop here. Yeah, it was lowering my stop to this high here, because I expect the price to draw here. The mistake I did was not waiting until my first objective was taken. Once the first objective gets taken, then I can move my stop to wherever the last stop was at, which was up here, and eventually it traded into my objectives. But I caught this long here, so that's fine. All right. Okay. All right, now we're catching up some speed. All right, so now I don't want price to stop. I just want it to keep going. Maybe trade below here. I just want it to go. Just run. I just don't like that we're outside of the macro already. Oh, that's right. I had to put my last stop. All right, so I got stopped. So I think my original play still remains intact. What I want to see is this high get swept, and not this one going into the 11 o'clock macro. Yeah, that's the reason. That's why I don't like trading. That's why I don't like staying on trades past 10:10. Because if it hasn't worked out then by that time, then usually it'll just continue doing this until you actually get the actual entry. So I'm gonna wait until 11 and then I'll give it one more try. Two losses in a row and I don't trade for the rest of the. Well, that's pretty much it. Um, but originally, what I wanted to see is I wanted to see ES sweep this high here or this high here, and then we get the draw lower. But we displaced here, so I felt comfortable getting short down here and then up here with a stop here. But I still want to see if we sweep these highs here. Bias remains bearish until we draw into this new week opening gap. I am watching this 4-hour unicorn, which again I'm not completely sold on yet until we see what price does here at this new week opening gap. So again, I do want to see how price trades once it sweeps these highs, if it does. If it doesn't, then I'll look for an entry short later on. Um, but minimum loss, 3 micros, really nothing. So I'll stick with micros until I see a surefire trade. The best possible trade for me would have been if we would have broken and held below these lows down here, short, stop above here, but we are going to sweep these highs, it seems like, because we swept sell side. So now we have to sweep buy side. I thought it was going to be this 1 minute setup here, but it wasn't. At least not after the macro was over, then that play was pretty much over. So now I want to see buy side get swept, and then maybe we get that rollover down. NQ, I don't think NQ is going to sweep these highs here, so that'll be SMT first stage. This one swept it by 1 tick. This one hasn't swept yet. So again, I am looking for second stage SMT, which could be going into the 10 o'clock macro in about 20 minutes here. So that's pretty much it. See you tomorrow.